and here we go.
Typical disgusting display.
Oh, tonight we got 'em. Goldy, the Sulk, and JC.
Next week.
Typical disgusting display. And it starts right now.
You save the next week for the end, Goldy. That's how it goes.
I screwed it up so badly last week.
It was so
I feel
good.
like the only way to screw it up more is to just do it at the top.
Well, I loved it. I love hearing it.
Me
It
too.
made me feel like we were done, though. I got excited. Well, we're not done. We're just getting started. Welcome back to another episode of A Typical Disgusting Display, a podcast for writers by writers who hate writing. I'm podcasting in an interesting circumstance here today. I just discovered, Goldy, you know my friend Todd Kidder well. He's your friend now too. He's been a friend of mine for 40 years, and he's staying down here this weekend. And he's staying down here where I do the podcast. This is in the guest house, and he informed me that at some point a circuit breaker tripped and the fridge went out. And in the freezer, my wife was keeping like 30 frozen hamburger patties for when her family arrives later this week, and they all spoiled. So now it feels like I'm podcasting from a cow's asshole. It's like so smelly.
First joke of the day. First joke of the day.
And it's mixed with.
I was going to say, your wife's family, you could still cook them up and see.
Yeah, right. These are fine. I don't know what everyone's making the face about.
Why is everyone sick?
There's also just a mixture of God bless him, of like Todd's cologne that I think he's been using to try and cover this up. So it's a very interesting smell in here today. But I think we're both podcasting under interesting circumstances, because I'm looking at your screen, Goldy, and my first thought was, is that a crib? Is the stork coming? It looks like you're constructing furniture there behind you. What's going on?
Yeah. Well, it's not a crib. I don't think there's anything left in my body that's capable of creating another life.
Second joke of the day.
Second joke of the day.
Whatever's going on in that freezer, that's what's going on in my testes. It's a lot of rot. Spoiled yogurt sperm. No. So my kids have been sharing a room for their entire lives. It's finally time for the oldest to have her own room. So this room, you may have noticed, has undergone several transitions in the time we've been doing the podcast.
Yeah.
And I applaud that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bravo. So I had to go to Ikea to get some furniture because I'm a person with no ideas, right? Like, which is
no ideas.
Right. So this is how you find yourself in Ikea. And I'm not sure there's a more polarizing store in existence that you can take two married people and they will not agree on a single item in the store. Like,
And
if
all the items look the same.
well, if one likes it, the other one hates it. It's like, this fluorescent lamp, I love it. Absolutely not. You know, this rug is great. That rug is the worst thing I've ever seen.
Right.
Like, there's no consensus. And it's for people, it's like, I think it's for people who you either just got a job or you just lost a job. Like, it's kind of everything's nice adjacent. Like, it's like that's definitely good enough, and it
Could pass as furniture.
it looks okay in the store.
Yeah.
And then, but you get it. Like, I got this bed that's a rollaway bed, all these things, and then you have to assemble it.
Oh.
And I think what they rely on is the fact that these things arrive in 3 or 4 packages that are each 40 to 80 pounds.
Yeah.
So you can't return it once you open, even if it's messed up. And it is messed up.
Right.
Like, whoever is drilling the holes to assemble these things is having a lot of problems at home. Like, this
Swedish fucks.
This person is going through complete distress because the holes were just insanely wrong, to the point where, like, I'm not the most handy person. I'm okay. I had to give myself 6 out of 10. But, like, I had to, like, re-drill the holes. Anyway, what you're seeing behind you is 3 days worth of work to get this 70% of the way. But the other way they get you is then they have these meatballs, and everyone's like, oh, they have. I just want to say, as a blanket statement, Swedish people, you suck at meatballs. Like, this is insane that people like Swedish meatballs is getting any traction as a food. Like, they're terrible. You don't know what you're doing when it comes to Italian meatballs. You're up in the mountains thinking you make great meatballs. Like, maybe that shit works at altitude. It's not working down here. They're bad. These are bad, cheap meatballs. And somehow people are pointing to this as a reason that this is a good store. The whole cafeteria there is a preview to the meals you're going to be eating after the divorce their store caused. It's like, you are going to be eating 2 meatballs and carrots from a can the rest of your fucking life because you stood up for yourself and said you hated that love seat.
Oh my God. That was Gaffigan-esque, except with cursing, which I loved. Oh, more on Ikea. I think we should start open with Ikea bits now every week.
Yeah.
That is hilarious. Well, it looks like, because I couldn't tell that was a bed, it looks like a crib. I guess.
Well, there's drawers.
It's
There's
on
a
its
slide
side.
out
It's on
portion.
its
Those
side.
are it's the slats. It's on its side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's sort of a
And by the way, this is
dig.
supposed to be a big surprise for my daughter, who I'm sure is going to walk in from 2 weeks of camp. Like, it's going to be like, hey, we made this room for you. And I'm sure she's going to go like, oh.
Totally.
No, the best will be when she gets home from camp and she is legitimately excited and she goes and jumps on her bed and you just hear that like one of the boards just snapping.
I hope it just comically, in a Mr. Bean fashion, collapses in the slat. That would be worth it.
Right. At least
They should just market it as like funny trick furniture.
Yeah, that would be a good blow to this whole scene.
Right.
We always talk about David Goodman on here, and he's still fighting the good fight for us against the AMPTP. But David, among his many catchphrases that people imitate him about, is one of my favorites. He used to, when gag rooms at Family Guy would go out to write a scene and then come back, they used to perform the scene in front of the room. Like, they would read out all their jokes. Mm-hmm. And so David would do this thing, like, when the scene was over, like, you could hear David leaning into Seth going, "Is that the blow?" Like that, as if to say, like, I could not detect a joke at the end of that. Is that what you meant to be the ending joke? And it would always just undercut 4 hours of work that had just happened. So Danny Smith likes to lean into me and say that. Is that the blow? All right. Well, good luck getting that room together. It looks like, well begun is half done. I always like that phrase. Well begun is half done.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not really like firing me up. I don't really feel anything when you say that.
There was no, not even a nibble on my fishing line.
I don't know. It just feels like that's barely more catchy than 38% is close to 50. Sure.
Let's get that started.
I'm not going to really stand under a banner that says that and march down Wilshire, but okay.
Oh, AMPTP, bring them to their knees. 38 is close to 50. All right. Well, let's get into something hopefully equally as funny as that. Let's get into Johnny Jokes.
From the Burbank Ikea, here's Johnny.
Oh boy. All right. We got a bunch this week. Don't know if they're any good, and I did not sort out in what order to read them. Oh, here's an interesting story. Uber is designating certain rides as cigarette friendly. Yeah. And they'll have all the amenities. You can even connect to your phone on Yellowtooth. Yellow.
One for one.
One for one. Don't do this to me. I hate when you count them out like that. Can never sustain. Well, here's a nice story for NASA. After briefly losing contact, NASA now has restored full signal with the Voyager 2 probe. A spokesman explained that the probe was probably driving over Mulholland.
Lost reception.
1 for 2. I'll get out ahead of you there.
And you'll know what this is retribution for. A swing and a miss.
Oh, yes, I will. Our text chain. I knew I would regret that somehow. Celine Dion. Singer Celine Dion is opening up about her medical condition called stiff person syndrome. When asked if the disease was contagious, her husband quickly leaned in and said, "It isn't."
But wait.
All right, yes.
I think he.
And here's a performance.
Yeah, he's dead,
joke.
but
He's
okay.
dead,
I mean,
yeah.
it's fine. Like,
Oh, did
we
he
don't need-
die?
Oh, yeah.
He died. Oh, he gone.
Yeah.
Play he gone. Go ahead,
Loose
play.
person syndrome. There's no balance in that house.
I know. And also, by the way, then it would work. He is stiff. Okay.
Oh.
All right.
that it is
After,
contagious.
let's see if I can not have any factual inaccuracies in this
It's
one.
fine.
It is fine because it's still funny.
After her backup dancers accused her of fostering a hostile workplace, entertainer Lizzo sat and answered questions for reporters last week. When asked why the dancers weren't issuing a statement of their own, they replied, "We're under here."
Oh.
There will be something in that area.
Take it
Yeah.
away, Johnny 2.
Oh, well done. That was a good batch of jokes.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, the New York Post reports a stripper is saying Hunter Biden sold himself as a power broker, but was really just an easily manipulated lowlife. Yeah, they'd know more, but they ran out of 20s. Entertainer Lizzo
There we go.
is being sued by 2 of her dancers for fat shaming them. The case will be heard in big claims court.
I love that one. Oh, that was a closer.
Remember, these are Johnny Carson.
Yes, of course.
Different era.
Different time.
Well, last night, Jessica Alba and her husband were spotted at the Taylor Swift show. Gee, I wonder who paid for that.
Ironically, his name is Cash.
Ron DeSantis' main benefactor has donated over $20 million and now says he won't give another penny until DeSantis finds a message that resonates better with the public. DeSantis answered, "What? How am I supposed to beat I hate Disneyland and slavery was good?" And I guess I'll do this last one as a norm.
Okay.
A new biography. I can't find Norm today at all.
It's good.
A new biography claims Barack Obama often fantasized about having sex with men.
Ooh.
Yeah. There's now a line of 10 million guys outside his house.
Oh my God, big claims court. Holy shit. What a home run. What a home run that was. Excellent. Excellent. Okay. Oh, folks, we are so excited today. You may have heard me tease this last week when I said next week we are going to be talking to Howard Stern, Donald Trump, and Jeff Goldblum. How are we going to do that, you ask? Well, we have the incredibly talented young comedian and spectacular impressionist, Matt Friend, with us here today. And Matt is on tour. You can catch him next month in Boca. In Boca, and then Phoenix and LA down the road. He's all over the place. He's exploding right now, as they say in the business. Hey, Boca, maybe you'll get to do Trump for Trump. That would be awesome.
Ooh.
But I just want to welcome our friend, our new friend, Matt Friend, to the podcast today. Matt, thank you so much for being here with us.
Welcome.
Well, thanks for having me. It is an honor to be here. I'm so excited, honestly. This is amazing. Thanks for having me.
Oh, we're excited. And yeah, Matt, we've now used you a couple of times at Family Guy already. We had you doing Jeff Goldblum. We had you doing Howard Stern. And I know you're a big fan of the show. What was
the biggest?
What was that experience like for
Family
you?
Guy.
Yes.
Yeah, he knows.
Show
He knows. You know, what was that experience like for you working on Family Guy, a show you've probably watched for a lot of your life?
It's like there were so many shows of my like things in my childhood that influenced me, but like the reason I sound like this is because of you guys. Like I'm not trying to do a joke or anything, and I talk about this in my stand-up. Like people think I'm always on or maybe sounding a little cocky or arrogant because of my regular voice. I'm like, it's heavily influenced by Seth and like the voices on that show. Like I just have like a regular broadcasting voice, and I think it's just it's a combination of all these different things. But Family Guy, it really felt like a Make-A-Wish doing that show. It didn't feel like it felt like the opportunity, like, come on, kid, here you go. You get to do a voice now. But like all my like the episode hasn't come out yet, the first one, but yeah, it was the most surreal thing ever. It was insane because that was the thing like that literally defined my like I was doing it before the podcast, but I don't even think about it. I forget who I'm talking to, but I'm like alone and I do Stewie all the time. It's kind of a problem.
You dropped into Stewie. That was great.
That's the favorite one though is Roger the Alien. Different show, but kind of same thing. Okay, people. Sorry.
Awesome.
That's
awesome.
a good one.
Yeah.
So it unbelievable to do it. It was wild.
Good. Well, for your Make-A-Wish, I hope you're in remission now. So
yeah, except for the fact that Howard is probably going to sue me for taking his voice for it. But that's going to be fun to talk about when that comes.
Let's get into that because this is so cool. If you don't follow Matt on Instagram, you should because he is very generous posting his impressions all the time. There's nothing worse than an impressionist who kind of like keeps his stuff in reserve all the time. You're really out there with it, which I think is awesome. And your Howard Stern impression.
Not there with what?
Oh my God.
What'd you say? Right. You were talking about something, right? Okay, so you said it was out there with something, right? What are you talking about? Right. You call me a prop comic, you son of a bitch. I mean, Jesus. Talk about reserve. Right.
So this is what I'm talking about. If you can't see this at home, which you can't because you're listening, he's just thrown on his Howard wig.
Goldy's thinking, are we really going to deal with this son of a bitch? I mean, enough with it. What the fuck is it? Right.
But here's a cool thing about this. Okay, so we hear the impression, which is fantastic.
Hey,
but your impression actually caught the eye and ear of Howard himself, and he gave it because it's not, people have been doing Howard Stern since Howard Stern has been famous, but he doesn't mention it or care about it. But something about your impression of him, and I'm guessing it's the accuracy, really caught his eye and ear to the point where he's had you on his show and he's given you his personal stamp of approval saying this guy is the closest I've ever heard to me and I get confused and I think like, is that me? What was it like meeting him, going on the show, having him love your impression? Like, was that just insane?
Yeah. I mean, these things, the Family Guy and Stern, I mean, these are just like crazy things that don't even seem real, especially they're happening so quickly. But I've been doing the Stern for years. I mean, I really started doing that impression in college. I like videos of it in my dorm room doing it.
Awesome.
And then it evolved. And out of the blue, I mean, one of the producers there, Mehmet, had become aware of it when I was in college. And then all of a sudden, after years of doing it, I'm dead asleep around October of last year. It's like 7 a.m. and I wake up to 4 missed calls and like 20 texts. And it's from Mehmet at the Stern Show, Mehmet Walker. And it's like, Howard wants to talk to you right now. Can you get on? And I did not know this was coming, like literally out of the blue. Like, thank God I wasn't on airplane mode. And then I get on, I'm in my underwear. I get up, I go to my computer and I turn my phone on and then I call in and all of a sudden I didn't know what was going to happen, but Howard just goes, so I've been listening to a tape of this kid, right? And it's fucking me up because every time I'm talking, I hear I sound like the guy, right? And his voice is in my head and I can't fucking get it out, right? Right. And then we did like a thing back and forth and then they just kept inviting me back. I did Holly Weird Squares and then we did a really funny bit. I went into the studio a couple months ago, and then the writers were feeding me lines, and I was kind of coming up with things, prank calling the Whacked Pack, and a lot of them didn't know that it actually wasn't him. And then the best bit we ever did was a couple months ago on the show and there's a really great video. I think because the video, I mean, obviously it's audio, but I'm a generation of video. I mean, I like to see shit.
Yeah,
So we did a really funny thing where, because my hook with him is just the word right.
Yeah.
So we were just saying a combination of ways to tee that up. So I was just like, what's the opposite of left? Right. And I was like, Hal the Fuhrer, right, alt right, Robin Wright, House of Cards, right. I was like, right, round, baby, right, round. And it was like, we just kept saying it back and forth.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that felt very Family Guy-esque to me.
Yeah.
Like cutaway humor.
But beyond that, because Howard Stern, I mean, he's the self-anointed king of all media, and he's certainly the king of radio.
Yes.
And to have somebody who is at the top of an entertainment, sort of one of the entertainment quadrants, reach out and say, "You, sir, are doing it right." Now, right. Right. Yeah, you got it in my head now. What kind of stuff were you hearing from like your friends and family when that was going on?
Well, my friends were like, "Who's Howard Stern?" No, I'm kidding. To me, because I love like old school show business. That's what got me obsessed in the first place. Because I grew up with YouTube, and that's how I discovered like Johnny Carson and Don Rickles and Dean Martin roast and like Rich Little and all these things. And I always like really admired the Johnny Carson like wave over to I love the Johnny jokes that you guys do, by the way, hilarious.
Oh, God,
but it's very up my alley. But I always loved like the idea of being a comedian and waved over to a desk and then your whole career changes. I'm like, obviously that doesn't exist anymore, but
kind of it does.
It's the closest I'll get to it. Like the Stern, he's kind of one of those figures, like a Carson, like
he's a
everyone
kingmaker.
knows him, and having that approval is just insane. Yeah.
Oh, so great. Well, so let's backtrack a little bit, because I know that you are, and tell me how this happened, but you are family friends with my co-showrunner and Goldy's co-worker, Rich Appel.
You can say boss.
And mine too.
It's the closest I'll become to being a Nepo baby. Okay.
Right.
The closest I'll come. Yeah.
So what did you grow up in the Chicago area?
Yeah. So my dad went to like middle school with him. And I don't think they really kept in touch a lot, but then I was like, holy shit, that's kind of crazy. And I was got to find a way in there. You know what I mean? So I kind of I think I reached out to him a couple of years ago. I mean, it's just it's kind of wild that there was that relationship.
Yeah. And now
I'm from Chicago though. Yeah, I grew up in Lincoln Park in the city. My dad, they grew up in the suburbs. I grew up on the north side of Chicago.
Oh yeah.
5 minutes away from Second City and Zanies.
Nice. And now have you performed at Second City?
I interned there early on in college, and I think that was the first place I ever really went on a stage. It was like a little open mic at Second City. My mom was waiting outside in the Range Rover. I mean, look at me. Come on, baby.
The struggle is real.
And then the Second City, I did some classes there. I was no child actor. I was no Kieran Culkin, but I had my I dabbled a little bit in the improv scene. Yeah.
Were you like Michael Scott, always then throwing it into an impression so you could go into prepared material?
Well, when I first went on stage, like that was the way in. Like I literally would go on stage and I would get some laughs because there was some talent and I was a little cute. So I would be like, "Hey, it's Stewie Griffin. Thanks for having me at Second City." And I would get laughs because it kind of sounded like him, but there wasn't any really writing behind it. Now I'm doing an hour and it's probably 20% impressions and there's more stories and other things, but you got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Well, now here's a question that we can edit out if it seems weird, but do you do a Rich Appel impression?
I need more tape.
Yeah, okay. We'll get you some more.
Is that
tape.
how you get there with people? Is you just sort of like watch a YouTube or you watch clips until
and God willing, they have a Jonah Hill episode and I can get really, deep and, add more jokes to it based off their text history. But that's a callback to a previous episode. But
there you go.
Yeah, no, that is the way in. I mean, you have to like devour clips of people. And that's what I love to do, like movies, TV shows, and then but I like to know about the subject. Like it's one thing to do a Stern impression, but you have to, match the writing or things you're saying behind it. And that's what brings it up another level, like to sustain a conversation and character.
Right. Like you want to avoid, I feel like in the back in the 50s and 60s.
Yeah, like Rich Little would do that.
Impressionists used to do this thing where they would say the name of the person that they're impersonating and then say, "Hi, I'm so and so." Like it was just so basic.
It's what I call airplane food impressions, because like it's like going on a stage and being like, "This is Bobby De Niro at a restaurant." That feels like being a stand-up talking about airplane food.
Right.
It's like, so you have to do more. I wouldn't do that anyway, because that feels like so like from the 60s. But
yes,
like, what am I going to do? This is Timothy Chalamet complaining at a restaurant. Like, it just feels weird.
I still want to hear it though.
I know. You got me.
What?
I really wish that the cereal or the soup was a little warmer. Not over gazpacho. Oh, you're crazy. Yeah, I don't know. But, he's too nice to complain.
That's good. Now, do you
The laugh is
remember who your first impression was when you were a kid?
The first one was Austin Powers. That's what got me really. So like before Family Guy was Austin Powers, and I loved doing Dr. Evil, Fat Bastard, Gold Member. I would literally ask my parents' friends, "Do I make you Randy?" And then my grandfather.
How old were you doing this?
4 years old.
Oh my God.
So that's funny. That's funny.
And then I would do my grandfather, Don Levinson. "I can't believe it. How you doing, Matthew?" And I would do my uncle and teachers. So it starts with trying to make the family laugh.
Yes, always.
But then honestly, Family Guy, like those were the ones. That was really yeah, like I think I've told you this. I loved when you guys did the bird is the word thing on the bike, because that was like a defining moment in my childhood when there was the sad version of the song and Peter's like holding bird is well, don't you like that made me laugh harder than I've ever, like that was just insane. I actually on Saturday night, so I had quite the night of drinking on Friday. So on Saturday night, I decided to just, do a couple shows and just call it a night. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I come home and I just started singing Edward Keel, man. That's I learned a lot from this show.
God, that's so funny. I remember that Russian thing making the rounds. Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned impersonating like your grandfather, because I feel like when I was a kid too, it was my Uncle Nunchi. My Uncle Nunchi, and he was someone who, whenever he would talk about his day or what he was doing, he could never nail down a time. He would always say like, "So we get there about 6:30," and then like everything is a number, and then the half an hour. Like he's never a time. "So I figure if we leave by 8:30, we'll be home by 10:30.
So this is how this is obviously very informative for like characters, right?
Yes.
Like little hooks like that is kind of how you expand on that.
Totally. Whoa, look at you. You reversed the Uno card there.
Yeah.
I know.
And now I'm answering
sorry,
the
right?
question.
I mean, so when you divide these, I like to just, whenever I do the how, I just get very perverted with it. Like, yeah, you must get so much ass when you do your Uncle Nunchi. Right? People must want to fuck you like crazy when you go, "I want you to fuck me around 7:30, right? That's how I'm going to suck my dick." Right?
That's great.
I know,
Oh
yeah.
my God. So now also a very interesting thing, because a lot of people have impersonated Trump because he's very
Well, he's the president.
Where is this going now?
He was the president. He was the president. He is no longer the president, Goldy. Let me point that out.
He might be.
But so you're Trump. Somehow, I didn't think it was possible for a Trump to rise again to the level of, "Oh, this is awesome." Because it for a while it was like, okay, you're doing a Trump comedian. Everybody does that. We get it. But now you come in like a house on fire with this Trump. And I just was rewatching some of your stuff this morning on Instagram, and the thing about Jack Smith, and you've got
Jack Smith's a dog. That's true. That's true.
I was playing it for my friend who's here, and I turned the phone away, and he was just like, God, he's like, it just sounds like an actual recording of Trump. And now, what kinds of things when you do your Trump, do you watch him all the time, or do you feel like now I've got it, and whenever I want to do it, I've just got it?
See, now I feel like I have to talk like it. It's like, that's another one. Like, I swear to God, Stewie and Trump are the ones that I revert to, and it's kind of a problem, like in my daily life. But That one, yeah. I mean, like my goal in terms of an impression is I look at like Rich Little and I want to marry the vocal and physical accuracy of him, but with like the comedic sensibilities of like, like Dana Carvey or
perfect.
Phil Hartman.
Yeah.
Because Phil and Dana weren't really necessarily, I mean, Phil more so weren't necessarily doing perfectly vocally accurate, but their shit was hilarious.
Yes.
So like that's kind of what my goal is, like to sound and look exactly like them, but also be really funny with it. So these impressions have evolved. Like I was talking about the Stern one, it wasn't as good years ago. And now I'm hearing different tape of it. So
now it's kind of scary where it's kind of like a weapon. And it's gotten so great. And Goldy thinks it's actually pretty bad. I see his face, but Goldy's intimidating out of the group. But, it's good. And, well, a lot of people are saying, Alec, that like no one's doing it better than me, which is true. But, they're saying we should bring back the Cleveland show. It was so bad what they did to that. What they did to Cleveland. They gave him a show. They fired him like a dog. What happened with Cleveland? But, there was a bear. There was a big bear. We love Roberta. We love Roberta. That's true. Cleveland's son, a little overweight. Gotta just go on Ozempic, probably. But, it's Cleveland's son looks like Rosie O'Donnell, but that's true. And I love Trump roasting the Cleveland. Some are saying his name is Cleveland Brown. That's what they're saying. But they're saying that it's a problem.
Okay, you're like, we got to shut this kid up.
But
anyways,
I could have heard that for an hour.
Excuse me. Will you shut your mouth? Some are saying that Herbert is not really a pervert, right? Some are saying that, but
you should just do.
Do you think though that like doing that?
Well, doing what? Doing what?
The impression of Trump.
Right. That's true.
Does it give you psychological insight into him? Because you come up with the stuff, and you're ad-libbing and it's very funny, but it seems to also you seem to have locked into a little bit how he thinks, which is like he's just swimming and grabbing and grabbing, and then when it's like, okay, here's something I have more material attached to this. Like it's like an ADD baby kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, you can really, it's a prom night dumpster baby. Oh, shut the fuck up, man.
No, he watches the show. He's proving it.
I'm just sorry, I have a problem, but I'm excited to be here. I think Trump, I mean, the thing about what's fun about Trump and Stern is you can really say whatever you want in that voice. Like I can do what I want. Like I was on stage the other night and I was like, Trump said he will continue to run for president even from prison. And I was like, wouldn't you love that, Trump in prison? Like,
I hear we divide this jail up by race. We're the blacks. We love the blacks. Any Mexicans? We have the best burrito bowls.
I'm not going to say that like in my voice. So yeah, there is something to that where like it's a bunch of like, you can just say whatever you like, nothing can make sense. And it's kind of freeing in a way, like, I don't know if there's insight into it though. I mean, that's, you could say that, but it's more just
because it's like I would bring you in for Biden for like debate prep.
I mean, that's
smart.
Interesting. That's
that
definitely
is such a great idea. I cannot believe that nobody.
If the Biden campaign were watching, they would do a great video.
They're not. They're not.
Well, you could also release the videos as like campaign jokes of like, look, this guy's being outlandish, but you don't know that it's outlandish, but it's also
true,
you're getting actual batting practice against like 99 mile an hour fastballs.
Them or the DeSantis campaign, we can do that too.
I can't believe you locked onto a DeSantis. He seems like like how did you do that? Like
I became aware of him like 2 years ago, and that's another one that just sort of evolved. I kind of view the the DeSantis, I kind of view he's like in the back of the throat, kind of over here. I don't know where it comes from, but he's just kind of a nerd, and he's just a weird guy. Like you gave me the line actually, Alec, that I use on stage now all the time, which is one of my favorite things, where I just describe the similarities between Trump and DeSantis, and they both play an accordion of hatred with their hands.
They're doing this all the
time. So they both the accordion of hatred, and
that's good.
And I was talking about like DeSantis is so boring, like he's just Trump without a personality.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy that he's getting so destroyed by Trump. Like, I mean, I guess it's not crazy because Trump has love him or hate him, he has a star quality.
Yeah.
Well, and you're a star, they let you do it, right?
But it could be summed up like DeSantis went to a Dairy Queen the other day, and he tried to copy Trump at the Dairy Queen. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah.
And like Trump at the Dairy Queen, he comes in and it's automatically fucking hilarious. Like he comes in, he's holding a blizzard, and he goes,
Who wants a blizzard?
what the hell is a blizzard, right? And it was just insane. And then like DeSantis comes in, it's just so boring. Like I feel like he would be very analytical. He'd be like, does anybody want this beverage? Some are saying it's a blizzard or something. I don't know what it's called. Like it's just inherently boring. Yeah, I'm like, it's a frozen drink, not like the gay Disney movie, but something else. Okay, just like, he's a weird guy.
I also feel like you could have that Tina Fey, Sarah Palin thing that you could style your hair and be a DeSantis.
I mean,
there's like enough physical like overlap with the hair.
Or a Mitch, whatever you want, man. Really, seriously.
By the way, Mitch took away your impression by not saying anything the other day.
Well, I actually, I don't know if you saw he was in Kentucky speaking like an hour or 2 hours ago, and they were all chanting "retire."
No. God.
What do you think about my theory that he just shit his pants and like had no idea what to do?
I mean, I think it's possible. I really do. But he just shit his. That's pretty funny.
You can use that and just say like, I think because
I mean, my thing on Mitch is when I'm on stage, I always describe how there's one impression I do to get women my age to be sexually attracted to me at parties, and I warn them, I'm like, if you're sitting next to your girlfriend, restrain her because she will leap toward the stage and attack me. And I'm talking about Kentucky Senator Mitch McConnell. And it's just like, we're flirting at a party. I just whip out my glasses. I'm like, it's very good to be with you right now. I would like to do some nasty ass shit to you and stick my chin deep inside of you right now. And
chin. Yeah, you usually warp the chin back. Like,
I like to analyze it. Like someone was like, "Are those your real glasses?" after a show, and I was like, "Do I look like a pedophile inventor from the 1700s?" No, I'm not. So
that's great.
You're like, that's where the Family Guy writing staff can help you out there.
Yeah, exactly.
Someone call up Gary Janetti. All right, okay.
You know the show very well.
Yeah.
Now, but I have a question about your Mitch McConnell, and I know that it must be from something real, but I don't know what it's from. Where does like the Scooby-Doo come from?
Yeah. So I do this catchphrase with Mitch McConnell where every time at the end of a sentence I go, "Scoobity boop boop, scoobity doo." And truthfully, I do not know. And maybe it's like a Family Guy-esque thing. I swear to God, like, because it just seems like something he would say. I don't know, like just like with that out of that face, it just like
it's almost like a version of a band playing you off. Like
like it's like in Family Guy with the fat people walking and there's the tube. I was like, but I don't know, like maybe it's like I don't know where that came from. I just enjoy saying it. It's like
I love it.
Dana Carvey, like George H.W. Bush, not gonna do it. Like I don't know. To me, that just kind of he's never said it, but I enjoy it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I
It
love
works.
that. God, you are so immersed in these impressions. It's so awesome to see. And I know Goldy and I are both frustrated everythings, but Goldy is quite good at impressions. I used to fancy myself as being like, oh, I'm good at impressions too. But watching someone who is truly inhabited by impressions, consumed by impressions, is such a cool thing. And now I wonder, do you say to yourself like, well, it's been a couple months, I need to get somebody else in the stable? Like, do you work on new
I mean,
people?
it happens all the time. Like, I mean, so I have a list on my phone. Like, I don't want to sound like I do over 250 voices and impressions, and like there's actors and celebrities, and
I think I saw like a Roger Federer one, maybe
yeah,
some tennis players.
It's very random. You know, it's great to do little Rog.
It's good.
He retired. He likes to have a Lindt chocolates. Happy to be here. Rich is a tennis player. Great guy. Great friend of mine.
That's good.
So I'm interested in different areas like the sports. You know, I do like a Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple. So like technology. But you know, like there's always ones that come up. Like I didn't really start doing an Austin Butler impression until like a year ago when he became relevant for the Elvis movie.
Yeah.
And then we had a whole thing where I did him next to him, and it was so fun.
Yeah, I
And
saw that.
For those who don't know, he still sounds like Elvis, even though he's from Southern California. So that's kind of
You
a
got to
weird
do
thing.
you got to do that for him when you were a correspondent at the Golden Globes.
Yes,
isn't that right?
I was at the Globes, and I just was on the car. My thing is, I do impressions next to the people I impersonate, and that's kind of how I become known on social media. And I tell those stories in the hour. I'll tell you a couple if we have time. But
please.
So that was amazing to do that. That was surreal.
Why not get into that now? Let's hear about some of those stories where you do impressions for the people.
Yeah, no, it's people think I'm like TMZ, like they think I'm like a stalker or something, because I see these people so frequently that I impersonate, and it is kind of alarm. Like if I were a follower of mine, I'd be like, this is weird. Okay, either he's a stalker or Kanye was right, and the Jews have a heightened awareness of where things are happening in this business.
Right.
But
both can be right.
Yeah,
Both are right. Some are saying one is right.
But I would say your fans are like, how many fucking hours of this show is there gonna be?
No, they believe me. Especially listening to this.
It's a nice change of pace for them, I imagine.
But basically, I think it started with Andy Cohen was the first one. I was walking down the street in the West Village, about to meet my friend for lunch, and then out of the corner of my eye, I see this, this silver fox with the tightest shorts I'd ever seen in my entire life, walking mid selfie with some fan. Andy looks at me as I'm walking down the street, and he goes, "Wait a minute. You're the guy who does me, right?" And I'm like, "I do, yeah." He goes, "You do Howard too, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, among others." He goes, "Well, let's fire off a vid right now." So I whip out my phone. And I do his little talk show game, Plead the Fifth, where he asks celebrities 3 questions. They can choose to plead the fifth to only one of them. And I go, "So Andy Cohen, what do you think of this impression of Andy Cohen?" And he goes, "I don't have a problem with it. I mean, you're young, you're cute, and you're Jewish. Amazing. Yes."
Amazing.
So the video is posted, and it's amazing. And then I see a trend in the comments, and to sum it up, it just they definitely fucked after this. That was the the summary. But that was a great encounter. I saw John Oliver. Yeah, I'm just going.
Jeff Goldblum.
Oh my
too,
God!
Because you, first of all, you can't tell looking at you on these Zoom screens, but you are like
golly.
You're like 6'4.5". I'm gonna guess.
Oh, is that true?
Is that your height?
Yeah, 6'4.5", of course. Yes.
Not 6'5".
And so
Yeah,
you have a 6'4.5" Jewish, like sort of a handsome guy. You and Jeff Goldblum have
I know
that
Goldy
in
loves
common.
it, doesn't he? Yeah. All right.
I do.
We love Goldy. We do.
We love Goldy. And now I'm going to imitate your impersonation. But
Yeah.
your Jeff Goldblum is great, and I've seen many videos of you doing it for him, other videos of him reacting to your
Yes.
impersonations. Those are fantastic.
This is the best one. I mean, I no more joy than doing the Goldblum. And it was crazy doing it on Family Guy, especially with what you guys wrote for me to sing, actually. Yeah, so the Goldblum I started doing early on, and then I became known early in the pandemic. I had this little series. I would do celebrities putting on face masks, like very simple.
That's funny.
And like Goldblum would kind of sing and dance while doing it. And then he became aware of it and shared it on his social media. I think he said like I nailed it or something.
Yeah.
And then I bought tickets to see his show in New York, his jazz show that he does, where he plays the piano with a little jazz band, the Mildred Snitzer Orchestra. For those who don't know what it's called, Mildred Snitzer, the name of one of his mother's friends growing up, Mildred Snitzer. Yes, of course, yes. I messaged like his wife, and I think like she was aware that I was going to be there. I didn't know if anything was going to happen. But I'm sitting there like in the second row center.
So you don't just run into these people. You message their wives. They must.
It's genius.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like Jonah Hill to his girlfriend, But anyways, so I messaged the wife and Emily, and I messaged their wives. Yeah, it makes me sound very normal. And then he comes on stage wearing like a white tuxedo. He actually floats into the room. He didn't come in. He floated. He floated. It was insane. And then within seconds, he looks at me like he scans this room at LPR in New York, like 400 people in the room. He scans the room and he just goes, wait a minute. Oh my golly, I know you. Just a second. I believe I've seen you. This man does an impression of me, Rami Malek, many other people. Come, very funny. Come to the stage. So he invites me on stage, and I do this thing. And I was prepared where I had my glasses and a throat lozenge in my pocket. He's obsessed with lozenges. So I give one to him and I go, we are the same brand. This is luxurious. Yes. And we did a whole bit back and forth together on stage. And it was insane. Yeah, it was nuts.
The audience must have been going crazy. I mean,
Oh my God. It was the craziest. It was out of control. Like, he looks like he could be my dad. Like,
he does.
Right.
It must be very hard to go back to jazz piano after
I was
that.
just thinking
The
that.
high of that. And then it's like, who wants to hear, Bye Bye Birdie?
Honestly, the way he plays, I mean,
I'm sure he's great.
I got to tell you, man, it's out of control. It's out of control.
Well, and he's somebody too. When the way he plays, not only is he a great player, but his whole body and being seems to be part of the piano when he's playing.
He hits those keys like Conway Twitty hits a cutaway. I got to tell you, man. I mean, it's just oh, come on, you're like, seriously, you already got the parts. Shut the fuck up.
We know you like our show.
We know you like it. You can relax.
I
But
like
no, I really like it.
Yeah.
No, but
I like that. How much you like it.
no, but yeah, no, it's an experience watching him play the piano. Like,
Now,
he really gets into it.
You mentioned Rami Malek in there, and you do a very funny Rami Malek, but he doesn't strike me as someone who would be that psyched to hear an impression of him.
So that was the most intimidating one. I saw Ramalama Ding Dong at a coffee shop, and when I do Rami, I suck in my lips. I always joke, I'm like, he looks like he's holding in my deepest sexual fantasy, and he's about to reveal it to the world at any second. He's just like, I don't know what it is, but I met him. I was at a coffee shop, and I someone behind me, I sensed there was a villain lurking. So I turned around, and then I sensed it, and I turned around, and it was him. And I was kind of afraid to ask for a video, so we took a selfie. But it's a lesson to always have live photo turned on, because when I did, I snuck in the lip. So there's like a 2-second video of me doing the face, but. Very nice guy, definitely intimidating, but very nice guy.
Yeah, that's cool. It's so cool that you do get this, and in this world that we live in today, where you have this access and the ability to kind of film a moment of, because you never saw Rich Little really talking to people. If he was on Johnny, he would do Johnny, and that
he would do Johnny. Yeah, exactly. Very good. Yeah, no, but
by the way, if I'm Netflix or someone, I'm just buying them from you and packaging them as a half hour.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
There you go.
That's a format, my friend. You're sitting on it.
Do that.
Yeah.
Now speaking of that, your videos got you so much attention that you were plucked by UTA. Is that correct? Like, they just said, "Hey, we want to rep you."
I mean, yeah, no, I was with another. Yeah, I mean, I was kind of poached a little bit, but I mean, I was. Yeah, I mean, there were people starting to become aware of me and find me. Yeah, I was fortunate to meet a really cool guy at UTA, Darnell, and then they built this whole team around me, and I've been working with them for a few months, since March, and it's just been amazing ever since. I mean,
congrats.
Wait, so your agents actually do stuff? I'm
just
kidding.
I know.
Matt Rice, my agent,
Hi,
Matt
Matt.
Rice, listens, so I like to give him shit.
Yeah,
He's also at UTA.
Yeah, he
does a
hates
lot.
your guts. But anyways, no, they've been amazing. Obviously, we have this tour, and it's obviously we were talking with the strike, but I think the important thing is you have to do stuff too. Not you, I'm talking about myself. It's as a comedian, it's I'm very fortunate to be able to be driving a lot of it, where it's I'm creating content, I'm writing jokes every day. It's I couldn't imagine just sitting around waiting. I think that'd be really hard to do.
Now, let's talk for a minute about, because you do these fantastic impressions, but your act is more than that. You have a legitimate good stand-up comedy in your act. Is it a challenge? Do people in the audiences, are they just do Trump? Do they give you the grace to do your material? And how have you felt about that?
Well, it's funny because so I just turned 25, so I think I still have time to continue evolving. And not that I couldn't at 45, but I mean, I think
you can't.
You can't. You won't.
Somewhere, especially in such a crowded. you know, I don't view it as like a crutch. Like some people, like there's like a thing, like some people might not like people who do impressions or whatever. I don't really care. It's like, you know, it also just depends on how you approach your comedy.
Right.
But I mean, I think like audiences, especially in the clubs, like they're seeing as I'm starting to roll out more on social media, more beyond that, especially like as like topical takes on things or whatever. And like, you know, like a big inspiration of mine, like Jim Carrey, like I think like he started out this way, not to compare myself to him, but I mean, like he started out that's exactly what I'm doing. Fuck it. But anyway, he started out that way though, where he would kind of go out and just do like an impression based act. And then I think he really wanted to like, I think he ended up doing like an hour or 45 minutes and kind of moving beyond it. So that's kind
a
of
little too far beyond it, some might say.
Yeah, I was going to say you should stop before you start painting. Like that's where you should
listen. I think fame is not really the answer. You know, it's just
I'm just doing like the whole deep Jim Carrey.
We're all just molecules. We're just molecules.
we're all just particles and cells. And, we're all space. My book with Dana Vachon that we wrote together explores that. I don't know if you read that book. Very
I did. Really odd.
Very weird, right? I don't even know what I was like. What just happened? But as I'm on the road more, I think when I'm doing an hour, people are really excited to see that, like you know, like the other stuff beyond it. Although I do have a joke, which is
you do an hour?
I'm doing a full hour, right? Over an hour, actually. Yes, I'm doing an hour.
Shit.
Yeah.
And like, what percentage would you say is impression? What percentage?
I mean, like 20% of it is that now impressions, I would say, and like
80% comedy.
Yeah,
wow.
Like. And yeah, I mean, it's like there's story, and you're going to be seeing a lot more of it over the next like few months and year. There's a lot of like topical stuff. There's stories, you know, like there's stuff about like being single, dating in my 20s, like my family, myself.
Sure.
You're like but I do have I do have this joke, which is just like I'm aware that Trump is kind of my piano man right now. It's like you go to Billy Joel, play piano man, bitch. I'm like, all right. But I am exploring that in my stand-up. It's just like I'm like, there's this question I get at. It's like, will an audience like me for me? If I'm not like, will you guys like me if I'm myself? Because I'm always in character, an impression. I was like, I was on stage the other day and I was on social media. I said I was on social media the night before, and I was looking at the comments of an interview I did. It was just as myself, and there was a comment, and someone goes, "It seems Matt Friend has finally found an impression he can't nail himself."
Oh,
God. Yeah, the negative comments always stick with you.
Yeah,
I'll also just say, as getting liked for yourself is not the be all end all.
Who cares? You know what? It's like, yeah, but
like, it's just not that great.
I isn't it funny? Yeah, Seth is an example. It's just like funny. Like he can do all these different things, and he'll be on like Graham Norton. They'll be like, just sing as Stewie with Cyndi Lauper for 5 minutes. It's like he said shit. So it's like, you know what? Who cares? It's like but I'm excited to be doing other stuff beyond it for sure.
Yeah. Now, some of the videos that I love the most of your many, many videos are you seem to have been able to like somehow corner Chuck Schumer several times. And when you do your political impressions for him, he loves it. Like, because just in the way that, you know, listen, it's no secret on here that I think we're a pretty left-leaning podcast. And to watch him watch you do like Trump and McConnell, like his giddy smile and grin, it's as if like I have been waiting for this for so long.
Well, I mean, there's things I want to do when I'm with these people. I'm like, what do I want to see on a talk show out of these people? Like, what do I want to see a host do with these people? It's like, I want to see Schumer like next to like an actual takedown of McConnell, like making fun of the chins and shit and like saying weird stuff. So that's what I try to do.
Yes.
And Schumer, his like chief of staff and team had become aware of me. I didn't just like find him. So we set up a meeting to do some videos, and then I actually did some stuff at the White House Correspondents' Dinner a few months ago, and I'm walking into like the entrance, and I just see Chuck. He's like, Mitch, is that you, Mitch?
Oh my God.
Glasses. So I mean, it's insane. Like doing Mitch McConnell, like the Senate Majority Leader next to the Senate Minority, like it's getting too meta now. It's getting a little weird.
Yes. Do you get
he loved
nervous?
But do I get nervous?
Yeah.
Not honestly, no. Like for those moments, not really. I'd be more nervous. Like it depends on the context. So, like if it's like something real, like I'm just dropping names left and right. But
No,
like I just met Billy Joel at like before his show at Madison Square Garden, like 2 weeks ago. And I did
Wow.
like a Howard thing with him. So that was a little nerve wracking somehow because he was about to go on stage.
Yeah.
I was like, this is insane. But for the most part, I feel good in it. Like it depends on who I'm interacting with as well. I had an Alec Baldwin one recently. That was kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Saw that.
Could not, yeah, but a lot of these guys are like way less scary than you would think.
Right.
Depends on if they, but I guess it's
Well, it
helpful.
depends
that
if
they're
he's
kinda
got a
starting to
gun
know.
in his hand, then he's a little scary. But also, he sort of had the balls to like, because you were doing your Trump, and he obviously did Trump on SNL for a while.
Yes,
His Trump was much more, as we were talking about earlier, about like kind of like physical shtick. Like he would contort his face.
His Trump relies on him being Alec Baldwin.
Right.
Yes.
I do
That's true.
Trump commenting on Alec Baldwin's Trump because I do an impression of his Trump. He's like,
Yeah. Yes.
We've got a great show. I'm gonna lick your pussy dry.
Oh my God.
Boopity 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 boo, crooked hill. I'm like, I don't sound like that. Go back home.
yeah, no, but
I want to just propose something that if Trump doesn't show for these debates, they should offer you to come in and just do it to get people to watch these things
Yeah,
because
that's
you would
true.
be
do that.
Oh no, but that would backfire because it would make Trump somehow more popular.
No, but
I
you
am
could win the debate with the impression, I think.
I'm convinced that I could debate Trump and beat him. I think I could.
Oh, of course.
He knows a lot.
Excuse me.
He knows a lot of shit though. I hate, like, obviously I don't like him, but he knows so much shit. Like, and to like people like think he's just like an idiot. But if you watch these interviews, like it's a lot of non sequiturs, but there's a lot of not like he does know shit. Like I hate to admit it, but he does. You know, like
Right.
it's kind of crazy. Huh?
You've watched enough
I
of him
know.
to know. I'll
Right.
take your word.
But I would
for
love
it.
to just talk to him and just be like, will you shut your mouth? You're a pig. Just shut your mouth. You're a dog.
'Cause I would do it. I mean, I would really go hard at it. I think I would.
Hilarious.
Oh, he would. You know what we know about him? He would absolutely love it. He
I
would
would say,
love
you're a
it.
dog. You're a dog.
He would love that.
Shut your mouth. Shut your Jew. Shut your Jew.
Now, we had, as if your impression life isn't difficult and full enough already.
Hey, shit, yeah.
Goldy had a nice idea today that, Goldy, do you want to set this up?
Well, I thought I wanted to talk to you about, and we have to some extent, just the process, how you would approach doing an impression of someone. And so I said, like, let's just pick someone who we think is kind of boring but well known, and you may have one in the can, but you don't even have to do the impression, but just sort of maybe off the top of your head how you would work on doing a Ryan Gosling.
Okay.
If you don't have one already.
Yeah. No,
And not like developing it, but like what your mind goes through.
Okay. I mean, like I would start it off with, I would go first to like late night interview, and I would like kind of like, I would go to I would just hear him, you know, I would like go, I heard him on a podcast, and then all of a sudden you start to like see their face, because he's someone who I really do want to figure out. Like he kind of does like this like squint thing, you know, he's like, he's kind of squinting a lot. I think he knows he's very attractive, and like I think he's like a little embarrassed by it, maybe like on a talk show when they're all complimentary to him. I don't know. He's like, I'm not usually this analytical with it. It kind of just like happens. Like I'm trying to sound like I have like a whole process.
Like, do you find the face first or the voice, or does the like one follow the other, or is it you don't?
Sometimes like but with Ryan Guy, he's just, I don't know. He's like, I love that like little hook in the trailer. He's like, "Hi Barbie," you know that one. Like, I don't know. So I don't have it yet, but he's just like, I don't. He's
I think with him, very little air passes through his nose when he talks.
Yeah, he's just
That's
like,
one thing I've noticed about him.
Yeah, I kind of just like I can see like the eyes, you know.
I can see you getting.
I'm getting
Yeah,
a
he's
little
working
bored.
on
This is,
it.
I'm being
No, but I
was
see.
I was working on Ryan Reynolds though. He's like,
Oh, hi there. Oh, hi there. Oh, hi there. Oh, hi there.
Right.
it's kind of like that's
Oh, hi there. I'm
Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds.
like he's
Right.
like,
Oh, hi there.
it's like a little breath.
Oh, hi there.
Like that's
Yes.
like a little bit of a hook, and
Oh, hi there.
I don't know, like
And
I-
Ryan Reynolds has very defined gaps and pauses.
because it's you. Like I mean, I was working on like even like a borderline like a Seth impression. Like I was just working on like a little hook with him because he's always doing another voice, but he's just like, I was doing his laugh, and he's like, you know, he's like.
Shit.
It's
Wow.
like, yeah, you know, He goes, yeah, you know, like that's like a little bit of a thing. Like,
That's 100% right.
Yeah, you know, he always, he always says, you know.
Yeah, it's he has a little like
Yeah.
not a stutter, but he'll have a
Stammer.
stammer when he gets
Yeah,
passionate.
And then I was doing, Rick Rubin.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I was working at this one's getting good, like, because he has a podcast. So he's just like, the thing about, he's like, the thing about creativity is,
really
I personally, that's really interesting. The thing about, I don't know anything about how to make music, but it's something in the gut. It's just a feeling of this karma. It must have been a childhood trauma that got you to that point. You don't question where this comes from.
I love that.
But that started with, I was just in the shower one day and I was like, the thing about,
Yes, that tea.
then he goes, creativity.
Like
Doesn't say creativity, he goes,
It sounds like
creativity.
the phone cuts out on him.
The thing about creativity. It's like, I'm gonna get a Gosling. I was working on you, Al. You're like, it's like, it's just like that.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's it. That's the nothing of me. But Rick Rubin. I've got an avenue for you to go on that, because I heard him say that quote about, like, he can't read music, but he doesn't, like, I think you should take that further and just be like, like, I can't read music. I cannot identify an instrument. I have trouble loading a compact disc into a machine.
I can't hear something.
I am 100% deaf.
The thing about Helen Keller is I just love his. I was listening to his podcast. He was interviewing Gerard Carmichael, and I'm sitting there for 30 minutes. I'm like, what the fuck are these guys talking about? I'm like, what is going on right now? Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, it sounds like your process is, and I love that image of like one phrase.
It's a phrase. There's a little hook in there, like Paul Giamatti. I was doing it, like, it's just kind of like a yell. It goes, oh, yes, very well. Oh, yeah. It just kind of happened. Yes. It just sort of like a noise that comes out of nowhere. I don't know. Like, Gosling, I'm going to start working on for you. I got to figure that out.
Yeah, he's subtle though. Like, he kind of keeps it to himself.
Yeah, he
really
subtle.
does. But I like subtle ones. Like Liev Schreiber is subtle. Like, there's nothing to find with that. Then you sort of figure it out. You kind of move your eyebrow up like this, and then you have it. It's great to be here right now with you. So.
He's another person you ran into, because I remember you have a video with him, right?
Yeah, a few times. Yeah. And whenever I see him, he's like, "You're doing me a little too high. Go deeper, okay?
Yes.
Go deeper." Yeah.
He does all, he used to, and he still does a lot of it. A lot of the HBO voiceover.
Hard Knocks.
Yeah. He did, but he does all of it.
He does. It was funny because when I saw Alec Baldwin on the street randomly, 10 minutes later, Liev Schreiber walked by. Randomly with his girlfriend and their dog, and then we all started talking, and I was like, I'm with the two most intimidating actors to paparazzi right now. This is unbelievable. And and then it was just funny, like they were both talking about like their Hamptons houses. I'm like, oh yeah, mine's great. Yeah, mine's terrific. The house in Montauk is looking great. Yeah, but that was
well, I think what you've probably discovered in your encounters is that actors love to be recognized, imitated. Like they just love it. Like it's not like you're coming to them with TMZ like questions, like you're saying.
It depends. You have to approach it in the right way. Yeah. Like, you don't want to be like running up to these people. Like, you have to, it's also helpful if like they are kind of aware of you, or like, I don't know, but like one of the craziest ones was like David Letterman. I again, people think I swear to God, I live in Manhattan. I go for a coffee walk, as I always do. And I'm walking down the street, like by the little cupcake bake shop on like Prince Street in Soho. And out of the corner of my eye, I'm like, holy shit. And it was David Letterman, like walking by. I'm like, no one's going to know him. Like, no one's recognizing him with the beard and everything. And I'm like, excuse me, Mr. Letterman. And I was like very normal. And I think the woman he was with kind of knew me a little bit, but
Right.
and I told him like I'm a comedian and I do this like a impression. I wish I did an impression of him. That was good, and I wish I did a Carson impression now that I think about it. But I did I did a Stern thing, and I was like, so what's with the beard, Dave? Right? When are you gonna shave this? Right? I mean, you look like you look homeless, right? And it was just insane. And he couldn't have been nicer. And I'm like, this guy kind of invented this kind of comedy on the street comedy, you know?
He
And
did, yeah.
and that was funny too, because Howard played it on the air the next day, and he goes, "I get a text from David Letterman last night that he ran into Matt Friend." I was like, "What the fuck is going on right now?" I was like,
That's so cool.
That's awesome. They're texting about you. They're discussing you. They're talking about you. Now, do you see, because it sounds like, you know, you're having a great time, you know, in your 20s in New York. That's awesome. Goldy and I somehow blew it, but we were there in our 20s and didn't really make use of it the way you have.
Terrific.
But do you see yourself moving out to LA at any point to try and, you know, like be on a TV show or do any of that kind of stuff?
yeah, I mean, I've been coming out to LA like extremely frequently. I've been there like I think like 11 times this year or something, you know, and I think
We'll see what happens. We'll take a look.
if there's, I mean, I think I definitely love it out there. And if there's like a project or something that brings me out there, I will probably inevitably be there.
Yes.
At this point, though, I love like the energy of New York. Like there's like a hustle here that you can't really do in LA. Like but I don't know. I mean, I guess it's just kind of different. Like there's different things. It's also like a different world now. Like you can create things here, like wherever you are.
Right.
But like Joe Rogan's in Texas, for crying out loud. Oh, Rogan. First time he's been mentioned on the show.
No,
but
no, Goldy does a Rogan impression.
no, you don't. Do you really?
No, it's not. I mean, to say that like it's
The way he
going,
interviews.
Hey, Mozart, this guy plays the piano. It's like not really, and because it's not something I thought
like
about,
it.
but it just
This
the
is
thing
the
I noticed-
impression. This is the impression. You know, the thing about creativity.
It's sort of similar in that he just really, it's so slow and so fake thoughtful that it's almost like agonizing to listen to, and he doesn't seem to actually know anything but to like cast a little bit of doubt on everything. And
You're talking about his stand-up or his podcast?
no, his podcast. I don't watch. I don't consume his stand-up.
Yeah, of course.
So, all right. So, no plans to move
I don't know.
permanently to LA.
At some point, that'd be interesting.
Yeah, I'm
Can
sure
I
you're.
ask-
Yeah, go ahead, Jason.
Can I ask
Please.
about the SNL? Looks like the intro to Dana Carvey behind you, the cue card.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Where did you get that? Were you there? Are you the one who introed him? How did you
I
get that?
was an intern at the Tonight Show in college, my junior year of college at NYU, and I interned at Fallon, and I got some cue cards.
I see.
So I have-
Okay, cool. That's not
Yeah.
SNL. That's it.
That's awesome. I
Fallon.
love those
it.
keepsakes.
Yeah.
Hey, so Matt, you've been really generous with your time. You're so funny. Your impressions are just A+++. We're going to be using you on Family Guy until you get too big for us. So
Do you understand? No matter, are you kidding me? That doesn't even make sense.
I
Who
know
cares?
a lot doesn't make sense in this
No, no, no.
topsy-turvy world.
I mean, I would love. It is like you have no idea. Like I'm sorry to be.
I'm sorry to be stroking too hard.
Like seriously, it was like I had like Stewie Griffin in my closet. Like it was insane.
That's cool.
Well,
I listened to Down Syndrome Girl as part of my shower playlist. Okay,
Oh,
I'm telling
yes.
you.
God. Wow. Another shameful moment in our history. But your impressions are amazing. We're going to keep using you all the time. We love that you came in to talk with us today.
Thank
We
you so much.
appreciate you being generous with your time here. Now, just because I sort of glossed over it, just again, hit me rapid fire with the cities where you're going to be touring in the next
Yeah.
couple of months in
Oh
case
my
people
God.
want to catch you.
They're all on my Instagram, the Matt Friend. You can follow me there. But I have Boca, Nashville, Atlanta, Denver, Phoenix, LA, San Francisco, Portland, Seattle, Chicago, and they're all on my website, mattfriend.com.
Love it. You heard it here last.
The thing about
This was
Matt-
but you guys are a great show. Like the smart list guys are fucked.
I wish. I
Don't
wish.
tell them
Idea,
that.
by the way, if you guys did the same format of smart list, but you bring in
Surprise.
me.
Yeah.
And it's just so disappointing. It's like, oh, last week we had Steven Spielberg, and now we have the Jeff Goldblum guy from that one episode of Family Guy. That's terrific.
I'm going to disagree with you there because I watched Smartless on the Road, that thing on HBO, just to try and pick up some pointers. But they have great guests. And then one of the shows in Boston, they brought in an MIT professor, and everyone was like,
That's like commencement speeches are always hit or miss. It's like I was class of 2020, NYU, we got so fucked because the year after us, we had the delayed commencement. And then we finally did it. 2021 had Taylor Swift, and we had like a Nobel laureate poet or something. I was like, this is terrific.
hilarious. Well, Matt Friend, you are terrific. Your impressions are amazing.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here today, and best of luck going forward. Oh, God. Matt Friend, so funny. Those impressions are astounding.
Crazy.
They're just
Eerie.
like, I mean,
It's eerie.
Yeah.
It's all one guy.
Eerie, PA. Let's get into another.
Possessed by spirits.
By
In a different era, they would say, he's possessed.
He's possessed, or as the police would
He'd be a
say,
witch.
spirits.
Spirits?
We are spirits in the material
band.
world. Yeah,
Oh,
the
I'm
police,
thinking
the band, the
cops.
police, spirits. All right, let's
Current reference.
Yeah, let's get away from that. Oh, as opposed to all of our other current references. All right, let's get into a portion of the show we like to call Top 5. Top 5. That's us, guys. We sound great. That's us. JC, this was your category this week. Tell us what we're top 5ing about.
That's right. Top 5 walkout songs.
Oh, yes.
Or is it walk on or walk out?
Walk out. When you're walking out, you're being introduced in an athletic sport, as opposed to those other sports.
In athletic sports.
All right, lead us off.
Okay. Let's see. So my number 5 is more of like a fun. This is how we do it.
I love it.
This is how we do it.
Exactly. That's my number
by the
5.
way, apropos of that song, I saw maybe a month or two ago, there was, you know how on Instagram you'll see something like 5 or 6 times in a week because everybody
Yes.
got a hold of it.
Yeah.
There's apparently a guy like on Facebook whose name is How We Do It.
No.
And so they were having fun with his name. Poor guy.
It is fun.
Poor guy.
Okay, my number 4 is Seven Nation Army by White Stripes.
yeah.
White Stripes,
That's a
yes.
good
Yeah.
one.
Yes, these may or may not be cliche. Okay, number 3 is a little bit more obscure. It's a song called Thieves by Ministry. It's very like industrial
heard of
metal.
it.
Yeah, it's dark. Number 2 is also very dark and would probably need to be bleeped out. It's by 9 Inch Nails called Closer.
Yeah, that's a big one by them.
Yeah. Oh, it's
That's
so
a big
good.
one.
I
Big
hate
one.
9 Inch Nails.
Oh, no.
I never cared about them either.
I think they suck. I'm
I
so
know
sorry.
nothing. I
It's
only know the
okay.
name of that song. Like when I think of 9 Inch Nails, I just think of like.
Yeah. Oh, I
What
love it.
situation are you supposed to be wanting to listen to that?
When
Kind
you're
of
having
all the
sex
time.
with like a goth girl,
No.
Oh,
right?
you had an answer.
I don't know.
He
That's
had an
all I
answer
could think
very
of.
quickly. I love it. I would listen to it anytime.
I mean, but aren't they like, it's like if you played the Star Spangled Banner for Sex with Us, aren't they just like, that's just so on point?
Also, I would be a little more comfortable if they called it 5.5 inch nails. Just saying.
Number 1.
He comes out, he has sex to Small Town by Jason Aldean.
I'm going to get sued in very small claims court.
Okay. And number 1, Beastie Boys Sabotage.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
a good one.
Yeah.
Do we just make next week top 5 songs have sex to?
Oh, I love
We
that.
could.
Wow.
And
I
mine
would
would all
save
be
all
9
those.
Inch Nails.
You should save that for yours, Goldy. I think that's a good one.
It is my turn, I guess.
Yes.
Wow, I've really now taken the steam out of my first number 5 with that joke. But number 5 is I'm coming out of the bullpen to George Michael's "I Want Your Sex."
Yes.
I'm just
Yes.
running out. Number 4, I would have to be playing for the Los Angeles Dodgers for this to work, but I went to the first LA Rams return to LA preseason football game. The Rams came from behind and won. This song came on, and the place went more nuts than I've ever seen anywhere go. California Love, Tupac.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's so good.
It's going to get the crowd on my side.
Yep.
Yeah.
Number 3, I'm running out of the bullpen to a little bit of a lesser listened to song, but you may know it. Mark Morrison's Return of the Mac.
Oh, that's a great song.
Nice.
Return of the Mac.
Yeah. Number 2, I've often talked about coming up to the plate to Natalie Imbruglia's Torn.
Yes, I love it.
Number 1's a very specific situation. I'm a reliever. I'm in a contract that everyone knows is an unfair contract.
Yes.
I'm on my way. There's been public bickering over my contract. You start to hear dun 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 dun. It's AC/DC's Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap. It's a fucking dig at my employers.
Love that.
So good.
But the crowd gets it. It's a pump up song, but it's also like just a commentary on this guy's just out to fuck everyone.
I love it.
Mad.
That's
You'd get to the mound and hold the glove to your ear for
And then I would also just be throwing filthy stuff. Like that's the other thing too.
Yeah.
And getting really pumped up.
Yes,
That's
maybe
good.
some kind of sidearm delivery. I love it.
Oh, total sidearm junk.
Love it.
Yeah.
That's a great list. Great list.
I've thought about that a lot without, knowing about this list.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's awesome. You can tell.
We
It's
have
really good.
sort of group overlap.
Oh.
Number 5 for me, relief pitcher, Back in Black. It's
yeah.
just, that's
Classic.
chalk. It's chalk. You gotta. Number 4, if I'm a boxer, this is also on the nose. Mama Said Knock You Out.
Ooh, yeah,
Really
yeah,
good.
yeah.
And that's also my karaoke go-to. Number 3, as a baseball hitter, the theme to The Natural. It's just majestic.
Oh, that's a walk. Yeah, I get it.
Majestic.
Little lofty expectations.
I know. Yeah, I'm just
And
gonna
2
hit the
points.
light tower on this one with a giant home run to win the
Hitting
game.
180.
This one hitting 180. That's right. That's like a Red Sox stat line. Number 2, this would work if you were maybe a tennis player or a hockey goalie. Another Brick in the Wall.
Oh.
I think that would be a good one just to sort of literally solidify your image. And number 1, here's the joke one, a la Torn by Goldy. If I'm a bad relief pitcher, I want to come into this song If by Bread. Do you know that song?
I don't know that song.
It's maybe the wimpiest song in the history of music. It's a song like, if a picture paints 1,000 words, then why can't I have you? That's it. That's my list. So
Good list.
That's
Have you ever,
funny.
either you familiar with that song Blueberries for Breakfast by the Mamas and the Papas, supposedly the worst song ever written?
No.
I might if you sang.
Well, you should listen to it. Our listeners should listen to it, and we'll talk about it.
Okay.
Is that's not Everyone's Getting Fat except Mama Cass. That's a different one.
No.
Okay.
What is it called? Blueberry what?
Blueberries for Breakfast.
Oh,
It's-
Blueberries.
Some say the worst song ever written.
Okay.
Okay. Well, we know
Homework.
we've come up against a potential worst song that we think is a potential best song. We built this city. So
Yeah. I
Kokomo.
guess. Yeah,
Well,
that's true.
there-
That's
oh, God.
Goldie's.
You just gave me a headache even saying it. All right. So next week, this is my top 5 next week. I love Goldie's suggestion about top 5 songs to have sex to, but I'm going to leave that for you. I'm going to have one, Goldie. I think you'll like this. The top 5 most punchable faces.
Oh, oh God.
Top 5 most punchable faces could be throughout history, could be now, whatever you want.
Terrific.
God,
All right,
that's
great.
good.
So that'll be next week. And also, I want to remind our listeners that next week we have none other than Dimitri Pompey, young writer Goldie, another Goldie find. So Goldie, tell us a little bit about Dimitri.
Yeah, well, we've on this show. One of the things we talked about is wanting to stay in touch with writers at each stage of their career, and he's definitely a guy I've met at WGA events. He's on the make. He used to be a Washington lobbyist.
That's so
He's
cool.
really interesting, really funny, knows a lot about politics, very involved with the strike. And I think it's just for our listeners to get a different perspective than us who are just on our way to the slaughterhouse,
Yeah,
to
abattoir.
find a new chick in the coop,
Yeah.
young and fresh and optimistic, and has a lot to say.
Awesome. Well,
Cool, yeah,
I
looking
look
forward
forward
to
to
that.
talking to Dimitri Pompey next week. But now let's end the show as we do every week on a high note. Tom and Max, the never-ending note. I love it. Thank you. We'd love to talk to Tom again sometime. Tom, if you're listening, we miss you.
Come back.
I'll start with a quick high note. It doesn't sound like it on its face, but my daughter Levy was sick this weekend. Her mom, Tall, my wife, is out of town in California, getting our new home ready for us out there. We're moving in a few weeks. And it was tough for Levy because I think it's the first time she's been sick for a few days without her mommy there.
Yeah.
And that's a big deal. And so a couple nights ago when I was putting her to bed, and she's exhausted at bedtime, which is unusual, she's putting herself to bed, which she's sick.
Yeah.
And she said, "I just miss Mama." And I said, "I know it's tough being sick without your mom. I'm trying to do the best I can for you." And she gave me a hug and said, "Dada, you're doing a great job."
Oh
It was
my
like so
God.
sweet. It
Whoa,
was so
That's really
sweet.
sweet.
I had my little Kramer versus Kramer moment there. But
That's
that was
sweet.
really sweet. And I'm happy to say, as of today, she's totally better. So, but she was really brave through the whole thing. So I'm proud of her.
That's
Nice.
really sweet.
Yeah.
You want to go, Goldy?
So I just want to, in the general sense, say my high note this week was my friends kind of had a situation come up. I needed to rely on the guidance, and I include my friend Alex Sulkin in this. I had to rely on the
Aw.
guidance of, people say these guy friendships. What are they? Well,
Yeah.
they're pretty good when you need them. They come through. So
Oh,
a few friends, you know who you are, came through for me, and I really appreciate it.
good. I did the check clear.
Oh my God.
I'm kidding.
No.
No, it didn't. Not surprising. Damn
Sweet.
AMPTP.
That was really nice. My high note is the Danny Elfman shows this past weekend, or the past two. They were absolutely incredible. Stu was phenomenal, obviously, and it was playing with new band members from two guys from Nine Inch Nails, and it was just a really spectacular show. They were amazing, better than the Coachella and Hollywood Bowl shows. And it's really getting tighter and really
I just want to
special.
point out I didn't know about that when I said I didn't like Nine Inch Nails. I apologize.
It's quite all
I
right.
apologize. There's no need. Well, that's awesome.
I'm so
glad.
sorry. I had
I'm
to
glad.
come out with an opinion on something that doesn't matter.
I know, and somehow it bit us in the ass.
Huge, strong take on this thing that has no relevance. Oh, well, it's very personal to Jason.
You're like, oh,
Sorry.
you know them.
I apologize.
No, not at all. You're entitled to your opinion.
Well, that show sounds awesome. I'm so
It was
glad
special.
Stu is rocking out. It sounds like he always does.
He's
If nothing else, we've proven that the high notes are legitimately done in the moment.
Yes, 100%. Yes, well, that was a fun show today. We had so much fun talking with Matt Friend. Next week, we're
Yeah,
going to
he's
talk
amazing.
to Dimitri Pompey. Thank you all for listening. Thank you, two, for being awesome. And we
Thank
will
you.
talk to you again next week.
The next week.
That was fun.
And it stops right now.
We love Goldy. We do.